Now, there's just a lot to unpack in the AmaZulu royal house this week, isn't it? AmaZulu King MisuZulu Zwelithini has called off his wedding to Nomzamo Myeni. The traditional wedding was expected to take place next weekend. In a statement released by King MisuZulu, he says it has become necessary to terminate all associated arrangements. King MisuZulu has also instructed the KZN provincial government to withdraw all benefits and security details previously assigned to Myeni. The reasons for this decision have not been communicated. King MisuZulu has also fired his spokesperson, Prince Simphiwe Zulu of Queen Myeni. Meanwhile, the AmaZulu will also commemorate the Battle of Izandlwana this week at Ntokozo, in northern KwaZulu-Natal. Now, for more, we now bring in cultural expert Professor Musa Xulu. Prof, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks so much for joining us. Quite an eventful week for the AmaZulu Royal House this week, but perhaps let's begin to talk about what all these developments in the span of a few days mean for the stability in the Royal House.
Well, good afternoon, Mark. Good afternoon to your viewers and all fellow South Africans. Maybe I should say it started in December with the firing of the traditional prime minister. And then after that, there was the divorce case. And then there was the announcement of this wedding, which has been called off. And then, of course, there is the issue that you spoke about with regards to Prince Simphiwe. But also there was this other hanging matter of Ingonyama Trust, which fortunately is protected by the laws of the land. So maybe what has happened to all these others could easily have happened because His Majesty, outside of the laws of the land, when he practices his traditions, he can do anything anyway, the way he likes it, and it is allowed. But the Ingonyama Trust is protected by the laws, so there'll be no problems there. Now, let's come to this 1 week now. This 1 week, tomorrow was supposed to be a court case brought to court by Queen KaMayisela. Let me emphasize that the king is only married to Queen KaMayisela and to no one else. So Miss Nomzamo Myeni was not yet married to the king, and I don't know how the provincial government came to a conclusion that she could be provided with security as if she was a queen, because she was not a queen. Her love with the king, His Majesty, had not been perfected into a wedding, and the performance of either a civil marriage, which would not have happened, or a customary marriage, which also would have been a problem. And then, of course, the firing of Prince Simphiwe all happened in this week. What I think is happening, I think the king is preparing to usher in a new team to surround himself with. And we could know that by Wednesday when they go to Izandlwana to commemorate the 1879 Anglo-Zulu War. That first battle that happened there on the 22nd of January in 1879 will be commemorated. I am expecting the king to make some drastic announcements from there, ushering in a new team, maybe for 2025 and so on. But it ultimately looks like the kingdom and the kingship is very unstable.
Now, Prof, I mean, the first wife has filed an urgent court interdict in an attempt to halt her husband's wedding. She confirmed that she has been served with divorce papers. However, she said her husband can't tie the knot while their marriage still subsists. How are we likely going to see this play out?
Well, she's correct, because in terms of the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act, as well as the 1961 South African Marriages Act, the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act is 1998. Both of them do not give permission to anyone to take a second wife, especially if they're married through a civil union. Now, Queen KaMayisela is married to His Majesty through a civil union. The king would have to divorce her first before he can take on a second wife. if he wants to take a second wife informally, he still has to negotiate with kaMayisela and has to write a kind of separation of his assets before such a marriage can be recognized. But it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to register such a marriage with Home Affairs, seeing that the king is married through a civil marriage, and I think through in community of property. Now, her story was supposed to be heard tomorrow. She can still go to court and say it's no longer urgent, but she wants to protect herself and her children in case the king decides to go and take yet another lady and say he's marrying her. Until that marriage she has with the king, she remains protected by that, and the courts will rule on that at the right time.
Yeah, Prof, thanks for raising that, because, as we examine the overall agreement on the intersection of ancient practices, contemporary law, for instance, and public scrutiny in royal life, the news of Zulu King MisuZulu Zwelithini's divorce from his wife has also generated a great deal of discussion. Why is this?
Well, Maho, you'll know all around the world, royal families do draw a lot of attention because, you know, they have this unfortunate situation where they are expected to hold on to traditions and to be kind of model families when it comes to the issues of the past. But they are also people, so they try to be modern at the same time. And all that you get eventually is that situation will sorry.
Yeah, you can go ahead, Prof, if you've managed to reconnect.
Yes, I am in. There was a small disturbance.
Yeah, go ahead, Prof.
Yes, I'm saying then they have that in situation where while they are expected to be a little bit backwards compared to the rest of us, all over the world, it's not a Zulu kingdom kind of unique situation. So it draws attention because people say, all right, when it comes to us remembering our own customs, etc., we look forward to the Zulu royal family. And then this thing happens and divorces and abrupt removal of people and so on. So eventually, some people become a little bit disturbed. But these are the issues and stories that you'll find everybody talking about. The way it happened, let me tell you, for example, there were also a lot of social complaints against Miss Nomzamo Myeni in various sectors of our society about issues that I can't raise here, but maybe because they were in the media, some were saying she already has children and all of that, and about divorce. The Zulu royal family is not allowed to divorce. And in the past 100 years, a divorce happened only once in the Zulu royal family before. So I think what is happening now is that people are beginning to say maybe the traditions and cultures that give us the comfort zone are under attack if even His Majesty, our King, is acting in this way. Yeah,
only a few weeks after dismissing traditional Prime Minister Thulasizwe Buthelezi, AmaZulu King MisuZulu Zwelithini Zulu has removed another official from royal duties, Prof. This time, that is Prince Simphiwe Zulu, his spokesperson, of course, and agent. He was fired on Saturday with immediate effect. Is this a good time, considering all the other things taking place?
No, it is not a good time. It is not the best of time, but it's also not the worst of times. As I said earlier, I think the king is preparing to usher in a new team that will support him in 2025. He got tired of the old. This would be maybe in the past 3 years, 2 years since he has been king. This would be maybe third or fourth team that has supported him. He does have tendency to remove people quite easily. when I say it's not the worst of times, because I think he's got a plan, another plan. But also it could be the worst of times because he's also having some very serious opposition within the Zulu royal family. And I think his opponents are busy trying to take all these notes that they want to motivate that he's not fit to be a king of the Zulus, and he's actually taking away the dignity of the Zulu kingdom. And they could use that in their arguments in court.
And Prof, I know this is one story that you've been watching closely in recent days. Do we know so far why the wedding to Nomzamo Myeni was called off?
Well, it was called off, I think, in relation to what I had. I think the relationship, the love relationship just fell off, and all sorts of rumors, which I can't reveal here, started flying around about, Princess Miss Nomzamo, and maybe about also another, let me say, Prince Simphiwe. There are all sorts of things, and people like to discuss things informally. I think that when those things started falling into the ears of the king, then he decided to take these drastic measures. It has happened before with Queen KaMayisela. Those kinds of assertions that were circulating in public happened before with Queen KaMayisela and the first team that was supporting the king when he rose to the throne way back in 2022.
Yeah. Now, in a directive issued by the king, he also said all benefits and security details assigned to Myeni are to be revoked within 3 hours. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the provincial government was misled to provide security detail to Miss Nomzamo because she was not a queen and she was not a member of the Zulu royal family, either through marriage or any. In simpler terms, she until she gets married, she was the king's girlfriend. I don't know. I don't know what the Auditor General will say or Scopa will say. It's up to them to look into that. From where I stand, I think they were misled into believing that Miss Nomzamo Myeni was already married to the king, when it was not true. Some people said, okay, lobola was paid. But in Zulu cultural heritage and customary marriages, lobola does not amount to marriage. It's one of the key and root activities that need to happen before marriage takes place.
Yeah, Prof, thanks so much for sharing your insights, as always, on this important story. We appreciate it. That was cultural expert Prof. Musa Zulu talking to us about the latest developments in the AmaZulu Royal House.